Diana from the Sarah Mesa Library presenting how to find your Kibbe body type. This video is for finding the best clothes to complement the natural lines of your body. This quiz was originally published by David Kibbe, a fashion designer, in his book Metamorphosis. In this quiz, we will go through 15 out of the 16 original questions. Each answer will have 5 options, going from letters A through E. If you are conflicted between 2 answers, go ahead and write both. If you're completely unsure about which letter to put down answer C. Feel free to ask for a second opinion if possible. The thing I love about this system is that it's universal, so no matter what your gender or ethnicity, it will not affect the outcome of your result. This video is geared towards adults who are 18 and up. That is because once your body is fully developed, your Kibbe body type does not change with age or weight. You might find yourself pausing this video a lot, so make sure you have free time when you're at home to take this quiz. Please grab a pen and paper. Make sure you have a photo of yourself taken from head to toe with no angles and no filters. Make sure to only be wearing a bikini, swimsuit, or underwear. Do not worry, this picture will not be shared. It is also helpful to have older pictures of yourself that are also taken from head to toe. This is to gauge the overall features and tendencies that your body has, regardless of age or weight differences. Try to be as objective as possible. And don't be afraid to retake the quiz if you feel like you didn't get the right type. It took me a few tries. No matter what your result is, remember that all body types are beautiful. Do not get discouraged if you end up with a type that you weren't expecting. Feel free to pause the video here in order to copy this guide. Make sure you do this before you fill out your answers. Question 1. What is my vertical line? This is not about your actual height, but rather how tall you look. Answer A. My vertical line is very long. My head is much smaller in proportion to my body. Answer B. Pretty long. My head is smaller in proportion to my body. Answer C. Moderate. My head is pretty much proportionate to my body. Answer D. Short. My head is somewhat bigger in proportion to my body. Answer E. Very short. My head is more prominent in proportion to the size of my body. Question 2. How would I describe my shoulders? Answer A. Sharp, noticeably angular. Answer B. Broad and wide, or blunt and squarish. Answer C. Moderate, in proportion to my hips. Answer D. Rounded, narrow but somewhat sharp. Answer E. Very rounded and not very prominent. Question 3. How long are my arms and legs in proportion to my torso? This might warrant separate answers between your arms and your legs. Answer A. My arms and legs are long and narrow and are much longer in proportion to my torso. Answer B. My arms and legs are long and broad and are longer in proportion to my torso. Answer C. My arms and legs are moderate in length, roughly proportionate to my torso. Answer D. My arms and legs are slightly short and somewhat narrow in proportion to my torso. Answer E. My arms and legs are short and somewhat wide in proportion to my torso. Question 4. The width and size of my hands and feet in proportion to my body are A. Elongated and narrow, somewhat large in proportion to my body. Answer B. Wide and somewhat large in proportion to my body. Answer C. Moderately sized. Answer D. Small and narrow. Answer E. Small and somewhat wide. Question 5. What is the overall shape of my body? Answer A. Long and narrow, mostly straight. Answer B. Broad and somewhat muscular. Answer C. Balanced and moderate. Answer D. Small, somewhat narrow. Answer E. Small and somewhat wide. Question 6. My chest/upper torso is Answer A. Flat or straight and does not really change when I gain weight. Answer B. Somewhat flat but wide. and may increase in size with weight or muscle gain. Answer C. Moderate in proportion to my waist. Answer D. More prominent than my waist, regardless of weight. Answer E. Very prominent, regardless of how much weight I lose. Question 7. I would describe my waist as Answer A. Long and straight for the most part. Answer B. Long, mostly straight unless I put on weight or muscle. Answer C. Moderate. Somewhat tapered in proportion to my shoulders and hips. Answer D. Somewhat short, more narrow than my shoulders and hips. Answer E. Somewhat short, more tapered than my shoulders and hips, but still somewhat wide, regardless of weight. Question 8. I would describe my hips as Answer A. Straight, regardless of whether I gain or lose weight. Answer B. Fairly straight, unless I gain weight or muscle. Answer C. Moderate, about as wide as my shoulders. Answer D. Wider than my waist, and may increase with weight. Answer E. Wide, regardless of weight. Question 9. The flesh on my arms and legs can be described as Answer A. Taut and elongated, regardless of weight. Answer B. Wide, muscular, and elongated. Answer C. Moderate. Answer D. Soft, fleshy, and somewhat short, and may increase with weight. Answer E. Soft, fleshy, and short, regardless of weight. Question 10. How would I describe my jawline? Answer A. Sharp, angular, or squarish. Answer B. Wide and blunt. Answer C. Moderate. Answer D. Tapered. Answer E. Wide and rounded. Question 11. I would describe my nose as Answer A. Sharp, angular, long. Answer B. Wide, blunt, long. Answer C. Moderate. Answer D. Narrow and somewhat angular. Answer E. Short and somewhat wide. Question 12. How would I describe my cheekbones? Answer A. Prominent, sharp, angular. Answer B. Prominent, wide, blunt. Answer C. Moderate. Answer D. Rounded but narrow. Answer E. Round. Question 13. My eyes can be described as Answer A. Straight, narrow, and somewhat close together. Answer B. Straight, narrow, and somewhat far apart. Answer C. Moderately sized and evenly spaced. Answer D. Somewhat round, somewhat close together, and possibly upturned. Answer E. Round and wide. Question 14. My lips or mouth can be described as Answer A. Straight, thin. Answer B. Straight and broad. Answer C. Moderate. Answer D. Round and full. Answer E. Very round and very full. Question 15. The flesh on my cheekbones tend to be Answer A. Taut regardless of weight. Answer B. Taut, may become fleshy with weight, but the muscle underneath is always visible. Answer C. Moderate, not too fleshy or taut. Answer D. Fleshy and may increase with weight. Answer E. Very full, regardless of weight. Now count how many of each letter you have. You may not have an answer set that 100% matches the results, but try to pick the one that matches the most. If you have mostly A answers, you may be a dramatic. Dramatics look tall and lean and have a straight body type, and can pull off very long articles of clothing. If you have mostly A answers, but some D and E answers, you may be a soft dramatic. Although you are in the same category as dramatics, you have distinct curves that distinguish you from a true dramatic. You may find that you have some D and E answers for the questions about body and facial flesh, but no matter what, the bone structure underneath your flesh is still dramatic, and your answers for bone structure questions should mostly be A's. Some famous dramatics include Keira Knightley, Cate Blanchett, David Bowie, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Some soft dramatics include Tyra Banks, Priyanka Chopra, Sofia Vergara, Christian Bale. If you have mostly B answers, you may be a natural. Naturals have broad, blunt bone structure and flesh that may have a tendency towards muscle. If you have mostly B answers with a few A answers, you may be a flamboyant natural. These naturals have bits of sharpness in their bones and flesh and may look taller than a true natural. If you have a lot of B answers with a few D and E answers, you may be a soft natural. These naturals have the bone structure of a natural, but tend to have a shorter vertical line and more fleshiness. Some famous naturals include Jennifer Aniston and Liv Tyler. Some famous flamboyant naturals include Julia Roberts, Cameron Diaz, and Cindy Crawford. Some famous soft naturals include Selena Gomez, Aishwarya Rai, and Brad Pitt. If you have mostly C answers, you may be a classic. Classics are a balanced blend of A and B and D and E answers, and therefore are often described as moderate. Fairly symmetrical bone structure and moderate fleshiness, this body type may be able to get away with many different lines, but will always look best in simple, classic lines. If you have mostly C answers with a few A answers, you may be a dramatic classic. These classics have some angularity and sharpness in their features, but will overall be symmetrical. If you have mostly C answers with a few D and E answers, you may be a soft classic. These classics have the bone structure of a classic, but tend to have a shorter vertical line and softer features. Famous classics include January Jones and Grace Kelly. Famous dramatic classics include Zoe Saldana, Olivia Wilde, and John Hamm. Famous soft classics include Lupita Nyong'o, Kirsten Dunst, and John Slattery. If you have mostly E and D answers, you may be a romantic. Their features tend to be rounded, short, soft, and wide. If you have mostly E and D answers with a few A answers, you may be a theatrical romantic. They share the same bone structure as romantics, but with bits of angularity and sharpness in their bones. Like true romantics, theatrical romantics also have a tendency towards fleshiness. Famous romantics include Beyonce Knowles, Drew Barrymore, Leonardo DiCaprio. Famous theatrical romantics include David Kibbe himself, Rihanna, Rachel McAdams. If you have a fairly even mixture of E and A answers, you may be a gamine. Gamines, unlike classics, do not have symmetrical, blended features, but rather a random combination of contrasting features. If you have a mixture of A and E answers with several B answers, you may be a flamboyant gamine. Similar to true gamines, you have a mixture of features, but may have a slight tendency towards broadness. If you have a mixture of E and A answers with several D answers, you may be a soft gamine. You may have the bone structure of a true gamine, but with a shorter vertical line and softer features. Famous gamines include Ariana Grande and Audrey Tautou. Famous flamboyant gamines include Tessa Thompson, Audrey Hepburn, and Gwen Stefani. Famous soft gamines include Winona Ryder, Halle Berry, and Kristen Bell. This concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope this video kickstarts your Kibbe body type journey.